viruses, it doesn't even have real names. It's got like at signs, pound signs, exclamation points.
No,
it's just
that's not right.
Yeah, it's got like a list of 147 files in there with, you can't even read them obviously because it's got it like that. So what I tried was I reset I did the factory reset through the watch, and then I also pressed the pin with a paper clip in between the volume buttons to reset it that way, and neither one was successful on showing the proper file names.
Okay. There is a new reset idea that they just told me about. And basically you hold the on and off button, the power button, for 45 seconds. And I think Lynn's already nodding. She's gotten it to work, you know. So I didn't know that, but about 40 seconds. And at least, you know, hold it a longer time. That's that, you know, the bottom button where you just turn it on, the power button. You might try that. And then also, Walt, it sounds like maybe your TF card could be a little bit loose if it's not reading something right, because it should be words, you know. And if it isn't, just, you know, contact me later, and you know, info@wavwatch.com, and we'll see if we can work on that just a little bit more.
Okay,
so
great.
Thank you. So thank you, everybody, for joining today. We're going to be talking about bites and stings. And, you know, fate has a way of working things out, because I woke up this morning with a great big bite, and I'm going to actually be brave enough to show it to you and see where we're going with this. But here we go. So for new people, hopefully everybody can see this. Everybody set? We can see and hear. All right. So just to let you know, we have 1,000 frequencies on the newer WAVwatches. If you have an older one, you can update it with a new TF card, and you can order that on the website. And I also now have some screen protectors that you can order at the same time. And so most of the watches, you're just able to update them. There's a few varieties. Isn't that a way to say that? Varieties. There's a few versions that were the beginning versions when I first started about 2.5 years ago, and they can still be updated, but you might have to send them in for a $50 fee, and we can update them. And they would be one that would have less than 850 frequencies on them. And they may even say TRT instead of WAV on a WAV file. So just a little bit of background, but you can contact that info@wavwatch.com if you need. And I think we have a lot of repeat people on this. I just love to see faces and now know, you know, where you live. And I appreciate your helping me and your being able to come on and share ideas about the WAVwatch. And I learn from you. So thank you for coming on. Anyway, you may have seen this, but we have literally thousands of frequencies now. I think the main thing that I always talk about is it's not connected to the internet. And most of you are very, very aware of that. And I think it's cost effective. To me, it's getting more and more cost effective. I did go up in price with the new frequencies, but when you talk about some other things and look at some other tools, it's still very cost effective. And there's no cords or messy wires or patches. We just want to wear it in the most comfortable place that we can. And we're over 60 hours. I don't know if there's anybody that can claim that they've been on all 60 some of my ideas, my PowerPoints, but I know some of you have watched many of them, and I hope it's not too boring. But we have specific topics. So if you know somebody that's having a hard time with you know, a specific health idea, you can search that topic and maybe share that particular idea with them so that they can learn, you know, and decide if the WAVwatch might be something that they are interested in, you know. And then some of you have just started sharing the WAVwatch itself. You're sharing it with a neighbor, you're buying it for your family, like Joy, who was on earlier, and we didn't get to have that live, but some people are sharing and sharing and sharing. So they're going above and beyond sharing this technology. So I really appreciate that. We also have a lot of the videos on Rumble now and on YouTube. So thank you for sharing. And then just one more thing to run through business. You know, we always have to cover this. This is not an FDA approved device. It's not a medical device. Acoustical frequencies are still considered experimental after thousands and thousands of years. You know, they're still experimental. And we do use some medical names in our little 1,000-page booklet, but that's because we have to have a way to identify them. You know, it has to make common sense for people and be easy. So we are not doing a medical diagnosis. It's self-care. And you are saying, oh, I have XYZ and trying to look it up and using that name. We are not doing that. And then we've already talked about this idea. You absorb energy through your left hand, and then you pass and share it through your right hand. But if you choose to wear the WAVwatch on your ankle, you know, fine. As far as we know, that all works, because these frequencies are absorbed in your bones. They go through your bones. They go through your skull. They go through your skin. And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to go through your ears and your hearing. Lots of different ways that our bodies are absorbing frequencies all the time. Now, I paraphrase this a little bit, because what we're doing on the WAVwatch is using resonant frequencies. And that's a term that's out there all the time. It's a physics, you know, terminology. And I just kind of rephrased it today. I'm hoping this makes a little bit more sense. So when two exact frequencies from different sources meet, they can interact or self-amplify until they fall apart. So the WAVwatch has a matching frequency for a problem that's setting in your body, and it's vibrating. Everything has its own vibration. So if we send in a frequency by wearing the WAVwatch and that frequency is in your body, those two will meet and vibrate and self-amplify. So that's another way to explain a resonant frequency, because I have trouble with that once in a while, really understanding frequencies when I first started. So you can see this in all kinds of places, that resonant frequencies meet and they self-amplify. So the WAVwatch just has its own frequencies that were measured hundreds of years ago. Now, I mentioned that right away this morning. I don't know how many people heard me, but I woke up this morning planning to do a presentation on bites and stings, and look at this big sting or bite or something on the back of my shoulder. So I can't even really see it. I can feel it. It was hard as a rock and sore. And, you know, what is it? I don't know. And how do I work with this? So this is a problem that a lot of us have. And so I just thought I'd share my little journey. I'm not saying it's perfect, because it was just, you know, a very short time. But I muscle tested for bites and stings. That's what I muscle tested for. I went through my list, and it took me to bites and stings. And then I set that and played it for about 45 minutes this morning. And in 45 minutes, it was less tender and not as hard. Then I muscle tested again, and this time the bites and stings didn't muscle test. And you'll find that sometimes once you use one a little bit, it won't muscle test. And then I went on down the line, and it tested for, my muscle testing was showing me mosquitoes, fleas, and insect bites. So that's what I have on right now. So I'm not saying that I can feel or see any difference on this. You know, the pictures were taken at a little bit different window, but it definitely feels softer, and it's not tender at all. So hopefully that raised area will go down just a little bit. But that's kind of how we do it. You know, you have a problem and you start looking and trying to figure out, or that's what I do. So Janet, go ahead. You have a question? You can unmute yourself.
Yeah, what is muscle testing and how do I do it?
Oh, that's a long one. So muscle testing, I think I have 2 different hour-long presentations on that, but it is the ability for your body to feel energy and ask your body. You're talking to your body through energy. And so there are several different ways. So I encourage you to go to WAVwatch Frequency Fanatics, which is on Facebook. And there are, like I said, 60 different ideas there, and you can search for muscle testing. So that shows you how to do it exactly and explains it in depth. But I use it with my fingers. My body will give me a yes or no. So when I say, do I need mosquitoes, fleas, and insect bite frequency, it's very firm right here. But it, it took me a little bit to learn that. There's many different ways to do it. You can also look it up on the internet, and there's information all over the internet. Now, if I muscle test and I say to myself, does my body need bites and stings? It's saying, it's slipping away. It's saying no. But as soon as I say, do I need mosquitoes, fleas, insect bites? It's saying yes. It's firm. It's holding hard. So that's my yes. So anyway, sorry, I couldn't do a whole idea because I've done 2 hours on muscle testing before, but good question. Okay, so that's a short way to do that. Or maybe you could just look at it and say, oh, it has to be some kind of an insect problem. I'll go to insect bites and see what, is on the WAVwatch. And you can play them all. Okay. Rose, go ahead.
Okay,
Rose,
can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm new at this Zoom stuff, and I hope you don't mind that I remain without a photo on there.
You're fine.
Okay, but I had a question that I wanted to address because you were talking about bites and stings, and I'm really just learning how to use the watch, and I heard you say you had it for 45 minutes, right?
Yes.
How do you do
Well,
that?
I estimated that I had it on for 45 minutes. So basically, sorry, I didn't turn off my phone here.
Because it shows up as being an 8-minute.
Yes, I was estimating, like I just, let it loop and loop and loop. So there's 4 different ways that you can set the WAVwatch, 3 different ways if you have an older version. And so you can choose to set it in the lower left-hand corner, and you just need to kind of look at your booklet, and it is basically page 4, and it's this image right here, and it shows you the 4 different ways that you can set your WAVwatch. So you could make bites and sting loop all night long if you wanted to. You could make it loop for 8 minutes, or you could make it loop for, like I just said, 45 minutes. I was walking around the house and I decided to change it. I looked down, it was about 45 minutes that it had looped through for me. Or you could make it play everything in the whole folder. Sometimes the folders have 25 ideas, and that's a nice one to do too. And now with the newer watches, you could make it loop through 25 ideas. So all night long, it would be looping through all those ideas. So it's just a setting on the watch. Okay.
Okay, let me just ask one more thing while you're there. I've only had my watch for a month tomorrow. Does that mean I have the new version or the older version?
You're right on the line. So how you can tell is look at the files A to Z. It's an icon.
Can I do
And
that
it's-
now while we're talking?
Oh, no, I need to go ahead with my presentation, but
Oh, okay.
okay, but just go ahead and look. And if it says files A to Z, and then when you open that up, it says 870, that is an older version. If it says 1,000 and actually 1,010, you have the newer version.
Okay,
Okay.
it has 1010.
Okay, so you got the newer version.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Okay, so these are the ideas that you could be playing on for self-care. You would go to self-care, and then we have bites and stings, and we have these categories. Now, if you're still looking and learning, basically the number 9 right here tells you that I've got 9 different ideas about bites and stings and things on the WAVwatch for that. And the top one, the very first one, is bites and stings, and then it goes down. So if you need to see number 9, you're going to have to use this down arrow key right here to get to another one. And you can actually go upwards too. If there's something in alphabetical order and it starts with the letter V, then you could go up easier than you can go down. Lots of ways you can use the watch. So this is an idea. Don't forget, this is your battery, and right here, it will go backwards so that you can go back to home or back to an icon screen that would have 6 different icons. Don't forget, there's 3 different screens. People are still discovering that there's different screens. So anyway, just an idea I copied from Mayo Clinic. They want you to do some of these ideas, and some of them are great. I had really kind of forgotten about an ice cube, for putting on a mosquito bite, or even by applying pressure for 10 seconds. But I've been outside a couple of times lately, and the bites and stings have been bothering me this year. So I thought this was something to share, and for me to wake up on a little bit, that there are a couple of things that you can do. I do use the baking soda and water. I thought these were just great. So there's also oral antihistamines and things like that. And I don't have those in my repertoire. I don't have things in my medicine cabinet like that. So I want to know and try to remember all of the simple ideas, like applying pressure, ice cube, baking soda and water. Some of the older tried and true ones work really well. Now I have a testimony here, and I think I might have it out of line a little bit, but it's just fantastic is what we're talking about. Someone told me that their son woke up with quite a bite in his groin area that was all red and swelled up. And they started playing the brown recluse spider frequency, but it didn't improve. And it continued to worsen, and it was twice as big by the end of the day. It was a pretty big spot on in his groin area. And so that night, she said she changed it to the Black Widow recluse frequency, and she put a homemade a drawing set. And I don't know what that was exactly, but she put that on. And the next morning, she said he got up like nothing happened. All traces of it was gone. So it went from a huge spot, which was almost walnut sized overnight, to nothing, where it was not bothering him at all. So this is a testimony, and I have quite a few testimonies on some different bites and stings, and maybe some of you will have some of those yourself. So Black Widow spiders, I just pulled up a few ideas, like I always do, to share with you. Some areas of the country have more problems with the Black Widow spiders, and some people do not. But I needed to remind myself. So I was really, I thought this was an easy one to kind of look at that. And don't forget, it has that hourglass marking. And this, you don't want to mess around with black spider bites. You want to get to a doctor quite, pretty fast. Hopefully you got your WAVwatch. You've got a tool that you can start working with immediately. I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night and reset my watch and really been able to change some things. And actually that was easier than getting up and trying to grab a salve or something. So with these black spider bites, we actually have a fang effect. And again, I had kind of forgotten about that. But with a black spider bite, they have 2 little marks right here. And you could be having all of these symptoms right here. Some people are so sensitive to spider bites, or they can be so, irritating to our system very quickly. So we do definitely need to pay attention and have some tools at hand for spider bites. Now, if you're like me and your medicine cabinet doesn't have anything, I need to be reminded once in a while of some things to do and what I should be looking for. So I couldn't see on the back of my neck this morning, but I was going, ooh, do I have those fang marks? I couldn't see it all. And it wasn't clear that I did or did not. But so anyway, people start wheezing, they get shortness of breath, they have cramps, they can even have their heart rate can change, lots of aches and pains. And of course, all of the swelling and pain and numbness, so all of these things could be from a spider bite. And sometimes we don't even realize that we have a spider bite, or a bite. It happens, and we're, maybe we've got 15 other bites because it's summertime and we've been out in the sun, in the trees and bushes and things like that. I know when my boys were growing up, we had a waterfall and just a neat area for them to play. and they were always out in there and had lots of bites all over their legs. Well, they wouldn't have known if one bite was different from the other. We wouldn't have hardly, but we would have been looking or paying attention if some of these symptoms came up and trying to do something. But at that point in time, obviously, I didn't have the WAVwatch, so we would have gone to the ice. The baking soda was our big go-to. And I believe I used a lot of vinegar also on bites. Now, this is another one that I thought was very interesting, and I hope you can see both sides of this. But the brown recluse, has, could be numerous sores. It could occur in sunshine, obviously. There's going to be a red center, it could be large, swollen, might have some moisture, and that's a little bit different from the black widow spider that has the fang marks and more muscle cramps, abdominal pain. So, we're outside this summer more and more. So hopefully you have a method maybe already in mind, or maybe this idea just kind of reminds you that we could have some of these problems. I haven't been around small children for a while who are out playing. And so again, that does kind of remind me that they're going to get a few more bites and stings because they're outside more playing in the grass and things like that versus someone who's inside. But again, I'm my own guinea pig because I woke up this morning with a huge bite of some kind. Now, here's some other things that you can do with the WAVwatch. And actually, I want to say that I think this is fabulous. They do have a little type ultrasonic mosquito repellent. And, you can take it with you. It has 4 frequencies on it for mosquito repellent. And it is $40. And the WAVwatch has exactly the same frequencies. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't have one of these, but you can, own a whole lot of toys once in a while. When the WAVwatch has 1,000 frequencies and exactly the same ones that are on this watch, because all you have to do is do some research on the internet and you can find the frequency that is used, And so I was able to put these frequencies on the WAVwatch and combine it so that you don't have a whole bunch of tools and one for each wrist and, a tool for this and a tool for that. I tried so hard to put a bunch of things to cover all of those ideas. So another way that you can use the WAVwatch is just setting it outside. And I've done this several times this summer. Had somebody for dinner last night and the WAVwatch was on the table. And it was funny, there were 3 of us and all 3 of us had our own WAVwatches on. And then I had a 4th one on the table. And that one was set to mosquito repel. Just what I was showing you, the frequencies that were on that little tool. And so this shows you right here. I just have one frequency, which is this one. I have this frequency and it's just rotating and rotating and looping. So that was going the whole time we were eating dinner. And I did turn it up just a little bit so that we could hear it. It was just barely, it didn't interrupt the conversation or anything. So that gave us a little bit more protection because like I mentioned, as we sit outside more in the evening or even in the morning, there are definitely more bugs out there. So that might be something you could try if you're interested, or you could just wear it and be sharing it with people that way. Either way works. You can be creative. Now, I learned so many things every time. And I had kind of forgotten about this. I'm in the Kansas City area, and there is a business here that's called Miracle Sisters Lice Removal. So lice is another thing that's on the WAVwatch in that list. And these are parasites, that are mostly on people's heads, but different areas of the body. And it's a different type of a parasite or a lice according to the area of the body that it's on. So obviously, whole families are concerned about lice. That was something I grew up with, and when my boys grew up, I never had any problems with that. And I don't even remember the schools having any trouble with that in a rural area in Missouri. But in the Kansas City area, it is evidently big enough that there are many businesses for lice removals, and this is just one. And so, the whole family gets treated together. If you have lice in your family, you want to jump on the WAVwatch if that comes up and start playing that, and then look around and see what else you might need to have done. Now, luckily, I had one woman that gave me a testimony, and I'm kind of paraphrasing it because I couldn't find it. I've had it for a long time. And she was saying that her children were at school and she thought she had gotten lice. And she said, I know what it is. I've had it before, And when she came and found out that the WAVwatch had a lice frequency on it, she played it and she called me back, and she already had one, is what I should have mentioned. And she didn't realize, hadn't found the lice frequency. And so when she played it, she goes, I was itching for several days this weekend. And when I called you on Monday, that was got a hold of me on Monday. She said it was gone in 10 minutes. And she says, I know what this is. I know what the symptoms are. They were gone. I've had them for 2 days. So I thought that was really interesting. So it maybe saved her a couple trips and some visits to some other places, and putting, things on your head for lice. Some of those are very disruptive to your system, and they, are chemicals. So you do want to be very careful with lice removal and what you are having done. Study this in depth. Now, this was a picture I found, and I didn't really want to show it. I kind of grossed my husband out showing this to him. But look at how dangerous some of these bites can be, So it started like this, and then all of a sudden, or whatever length of time, we have a spider bite that looks like this. So here is another place. Again, if you've got a bite that you were worried about, or you actually saw the spider, you need to make sure you've got several ideas. The WAVwatch may not work, so hopefully you've got some echinacea root, some plantain. You can take it topically and internally every 4 hours. Is this information from Dr. Patrick Jones, who is an herbalist. And I just thought the picture was worth showing you why we need to pay attention to this. Everybody's not going to have this problem, but you certainly don't want to be the one, or you don't want to have your grandchildren visiting, and this is what happens, So be aware that there are some topical herbs that you can use. Please jump right in and wear the WAVwatch, especially if you know or you saw the spider and you were able to maybe get an identification on it, or that, sometimes people say, yeah, I killed 3 brown recluses in that bedroom, last week. And then all of a sudden someone comes up with a bite, use some common sense. Then we're going to go on. Then the WAVwatch has some frequencies for scabies. So this is another problem that we have, all kinds of bugs in our our life. And I was kind of surprised to see this information was on plannedparenthood.org, but I just wanted to give them the credit that they have put this up on their website. But scabies can be passed very easily, obviously. And what sets it apart really is the intense itching. So you get a lot in your, webbing between your fingers, where moist areas are on your body, thighs, shoulder blades, around your waist, underneath your bra, and you can actually see some small raised crooked lines on your skin. And again, that's not something that I've ever had or necessarily been around somebody that's had that. I have had my computer system let people know or alert them that they are carrying the scabies. They don't have any overt signs of it, but we did try to get get a handle on that before it happened. But if you've gotten around somebody that has scabies, it is very, very, it's going to pass very easily, quote unquote. It isn't dangerous and it can be cured. But again, you're going to go to medical doctors and they're going to prescribe some prescriptions that you may not be interested in. So it can be spread very easily. And especially in, child care facilities, that's where you hear about scabies a lot. But group homes, it said even prisons was an idea, and also sexual contact. So scabies can be spread fairly easily. So if you've had it before, they say it can start up again within just a few days, but it might take 3 to 6 weeks to show up the symptoms if you've been exposed to somebody, and usually you've lost track of that person or don't even realize. So it's the itch. Don't forget, it's the itch that is going to be the telltale sign. Now, this was one of the better pictures that I could find and share with you, but you'll see it's kind of strung together. It's in the webbing of your fingers, and you'll see a line underneath to kind of alert you to the fact that it might be scabies. So we have several different frequencies for this, and that's why I'm, just kind of sharing some ideas for you. So again, I have kind of made a playlist for you by putting the category bites and stings, that kind of thing together. And sometimes it's not exactly clear what you have. And sometimes a frequency from one set could actually help another idea. It may not be labeled the same, but it is a frequency that could still help. So it doesn't hurt to play that whole category, over. Although I did do muscle testing, which we talked about this morning, and selected one idea because I only had a short period of time before I wanted to see if I could see a difference. But I will play the whole bites and stings category as the day progresses. Now, scabies, these are some natural ideas that you could do for it. And that would be the tea tree oil, aloe vera, the capsaicin cream, if I'm saying that right, capsaicin cream, essential oils, and you'd have to Google which essential oils. I didn't put those in. And then different kinds of soaps can be helpful, or you can go with some treatments for that are listed on the left. And again, some of these would be used if you went to a professional place or went to a doctor, looked it up online yourself. You have choices. You can go the natural route, or you can use something that you might get over the counter. So these are choices, but now we have the WAVwatch. And I think that's the whole idea of what I tried to develop the WAVwatch for, was its simplicity and that you could take it with you. People are traveling with it. They're not forgetting to take it with them when they travel. After all, I gave you a carrying case. I even gave you a little velvet bag so that you can carry it in a couple different ways if that's of interest to you. And it can be with you, because we're not normally carrying Lindane cream with us, or a lotion. We're not carrying aloe vera. Now, I do carry some essential oils with me when I travel, and some of you may do that, but you don't necessarily need to as much. You've got a pretty multi-purpose tool on your wrist that you can share with other people. So hopefully that product idea is a strong one for you, that it's easy to use and carry with you. Now, what I wanted to go into just a little bit is when you have any type of a bite, go ahead and, as a preventive, play Lyme disease. We are not being told or educated about Lyme disease. And I do have 2 hours of learning on Lyme disease that is on WAVwatch, Facebook Fanatics again. And It's very important because I tell people that Lyme disease is contagious. And that is not something that we are being told. So I can get on my soapbox and tell you about this for 2 hours. Basically, what I want to say is that whole families get it. And one person may be bit by a tick, but not anymore. They are finding Lyme disease and all of its co-infections in mosquitoes. I mean, years ago, I actually saw a lizard on my tree on my deck, and it had a tick embedded in it, you know. And that same idea has been found all over in the Kansas City area. Some doctors are still saying that there's no such thing as Lyme disease. But then I know somebody else, and her father has 40 acres and was a veterinarian, and veterinarian students went to that 40 acres and looked at all the animals, worked with them, and every single animal, whether it was a squirrel, a rat, a rodent, whatever they were able to capture, deer, everything on that property were carrying Lyme disease. So it is passed through everything, and what they don't want you to know is that when you get on a plane, an airplane, there's recirculating the air. So if somebody actually has Lyme disease on that airplane, you could get off with it. And if your body, your immune system isn't fighting it or supporting yourself, you could get off with Lyme disease and pass it to other people. So it's so important. And again, lots and lots and lots of information. So just very quickly, I want you to know that when you have many bites, or even in the summertime, just play Lyme disease for preventive ideas. Very, very important. Now, another idea that you could play is parasites, because we've talked about the lice and the scabies being a parasitic type idea. And so you could go through that folder also when you have some kind of a bite or you're covered with bites. It's very important to cover some of the basics. And that's what the WAVwatch does. Again, it has, enough things on it, easy to access if you just kind of know them a little bit. And I'm not saying that that everybody knows everything, but that's what these little presentations are about, so that you could remind yourself. And I love doing it because I'm reminding myself. The big one I had forgotten was that there were little fang marks from a spider bite. It just wasn't even in my memory bank, I guess. So anyway, these are some ideas that you could run for the WAVwatch on bites and stings, especially appropriate this summer and as we go into fall. So I think I'm closing out with the information that I have, and we'll see if we can open up the chat line. And if anybody has any questions or ideas that they would like to share with somebody, this is the time to do it. So thanks for coming on. I'm going to stop sharing and welcome everybody. So anybody have anything they want to share? See if I can find the chat too, right? Okay, so most of you have been seeing the chat. I didn't have my button clicked right, I guess. So neem oil is a very good one also. Okay, Rose, go ahead.
Okay, sorry, I had to find the unmute button. Lavender oil is also very good, just off the top of my head. But I did want to say, since you put so much time into the Lyme, you said you have 2 hours of it. I wanted to tell you that I had Lyme's disease 20 years ago, and it was brutal. I mean, it was like almost deadly. And originally, I didn't even get bitten by the tick. I was just touching hundreds of ticks because my neighbor's puppies had ticks all over them, and I was pulling them off, and I did not get bit, but within 6 or 7 months or something, I was full-blown Lyme's. Just wanted to let you know that.
And that kind of goes along with what I said, that you have got to protect yourself because you never know when there could be a problem with Lyme disease. And just one example, again, I got 2 hours of information, but like I have worked with Amish families before, and every single person in the family has Lyme disease, but they have different problems and health problems from Lyme disease. It doesn't, manifest in the same way. It will bother people differently. So again, the mosquito repel frequency on the WAVwatch is under the bites and stings. Okay, so just go there and there it is. All right, Linda.
Here. Hi. I actually got about 5 mosquito bites within the last month, and I had one that was the worst, and it was on top of a vein that I had just had sclera, the saline solution put in. So I did the bites and stings, and but I still had problems with it. Just day before yesterday, I found out from a video about borax, and I was doing a foot bath with the bentonite and borax and soda, and I rubbed it up on that front part of my leg, and actually it dried it up. So there's a website, it's called earthclinic.com, and there is a window down below that says borax, and it is amazing what borax is used for. And you have to
It is amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It is amazing, but you have to be careful to take it internally. Only the lady that I heard from, you only take a pinch, and I wouldn't even take a pinch, and then a pinch of soda and a pinch of Celtic salt, and then that cleans out parasites and other things in the body. But it is quite amazing, borax, and I never knew about that.
And see, that's why we need a few minutes at the end of every presentation to share ideas. So thank you, Linda. Great one.
You're welcome.
All right. Anybody else have a comment? See, Anne?
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi. I just wanted to, when you were talking about taking it when you travel, I wanted to hit in there and go, I get motion sickness horribly bad. And so I take it when I travel. So I just wanted to point that out to people. Try the motion sickness thing. Also, when you're flying on a plane, I put it on the radiation one. So radiation and motion sickness, yay. Okay, that's it.
Yay, that's a great one. And Lyme disease, actually, I'm scared of Lyme disease. So that's the one I play when I'm on a plane. Seriously.
Okay.
So
I'll add it to the list.
I mean, everybody does something different, so it's great. You just use it. All right. Let's see, who else has their hand up? I may be missing somebody with their hand up. Go ahead.
Well, I have one about mosquito bites. We go camping and we usually get to set up early in the afternoon, but this last time we set up late in the afternoon where the mosquitoes are friendly. And I did not wear my watch because we were working, and I got like 12 bites on my ankles. And then I have a friend that was with us, and I said, I just wish there was something on the WAVwatch to stop the itching and get rid of these bites. And we kind of looked briefly, but we didn't see it. We had the old one too. And but then next morning she goes, hey, it's under bites and stings. And I went, oh my gosh, I am so running that. And like in 30 minutes, they stopped itching. And they healed faster than they usually do. So I was excited. And we've also had success with sweat bee bites, and I think it was a wasp or something. My son got bit, and we just play the bites and stings, and really fast went away. So we're glad.
Perfect. And I'm so glad you found it. I mean, it was hard, as a developer and putting this together to make categories and to figure out where people would think, to go to. So
Right.
it's kind of hard. So you did find it. So there you go.
Yes, I just kept homing in on mosquito, and I should have just thought bites. But we found it.
There you go. All right. And thank you, Lori. I saw your message. Thank you for that compliment. So any other comments? Anything else about bites and stings? Has anybody had some of those terrible, I hope not, because there were some images of, the black widow and the brown recluse that had just totally gotten out of control. The person's immune system was not taking care of them. So hopefully nobody's had those, but now you got one more tool in your, protection belt. And then you've learned about maybe some borax. Make sure you do, you could do ice cubes, baking soda, for mosquitoes, use that for a long time. Walt, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a testimonial. I was having some lower back pain, and at night I played under the organs icon, kidneys all night, and the pain was gone the next morning.
Lovely. Did you think to do a urine sample?
No, would checking the pH of the urine something to do? Is that what you're thinking on the urine sample?
Actually, just looking at your urine, saving it and looking at it. And so many people that do that, they'll see all kinds of flack. It might look like salt and pepper flakes. One lady had 3 rice-sized granules after she played kidneys and kidney stones, and her back pain went away. So,
Okay, I'll try that next time I feel it. Thank you for the tip.
all right. Shafia?
Yeah, I was just wondering, does the mosquito repel work for chiggers?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody's had a testimony on that. I'm not quite sure, but I would be using it. That's why when I'm outside, I try to have my watch on with it, because the
Okay.
stuff has really gotten yucky in the
Last-
Kansas City area at this point in time.
Last night, I was at a bonfire with about 20 other people, and I had my WAVwatch on, and there was somebody else there who had a WAVwatch, and I told her I had mine on mosquito repel, but she didn't have hers with me. She kind of got really close to me, and so I turned the volume up much louder than I would normally have it, so that it would kind of repel any mosquitoes in our general area. So we had fun talking about it and everything. And the other thing, when you had a list of plants like dandelion root, if anybody, plantain is a weed that is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. And if you have not put any poisons in your yard and you have plantain, if you get bit by a sweat bee, it's very painful and very immediate. And if you can find a leaf of plantain and just chew it for a couple seconds to get the juice of the plantain, and then slap that leaf on the bite, it's almost immediate relief and will take the poison out. So I love plantain, and you don't have to go to the store and get it because it's in your backyard.
I love that. And that is so important for us to start recognizing some of the herbs and plants again, isn't it? Our great grandmothers knew that, but I'm not sure when it stopped getting passed on. We don't know near as much as we need to. Vienna.
Yes, I'll second the plantain story. I was driving along with one of my kids one day, and she had something that looked like a spider bite, and we were on a kind of a country highway, and I just pulled over to a little area with a pond and found some plantain and chewed it up and slapped it on, and 2-3 minutes the itching was gone, and then the bump went down. So yes. And I had a coworker that was like, oh my gosh, it was on her chest, and she's like, I just have this painful spot, and I feel like it might be a spider bite. And then the next day it was necrosing, that skin dying around it, tissue. And I had brought my tools with me. This was pre-formal WAVwatch. It was beta test time. And so I had her use that frequency, and it began healing by the end of the day. It stopped the necrosing. So she was one very grateful young woman.
I had forgotten that story. Now, I'm sorry, what were you running it on? Do you know?
It was either black widow or brown recluse. She
Okay.
had known what kind of spider it was. It was one of those two.
Okay. All right. Any other comments? You know, I just think we have another tool in our tool belt. I can't say it's going to take care of everything. And, you know, we have to travel with it, you know, but I do find it's easier than traveling with my essential oils. I used to travel, you know, with a pack of essential oils, but I still take them both. You know, I want to be covered when I'm traveling somewhere, because I would not know where to go to get something, you know, or I don't want to mess around. I'm on vacation usually when I'm traveling, that kind of thing. So you want to be prepared and have something easy and on hand rather than have to stop and go somewhere and figure out what you could do for a mosquito bite or a sand flea or, you know, something on the beach, whatever it might be. So any other ideas or comments? We are winding down.
Linda,
Just had
I-
some real
I'm not
specifics.
sure.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so last night I was out in the backyard with my dogs at dusk, and I don't like to be outside at dusk because that's when the bugs are biting.
Mhm.
And I was just out there for a couple minutes, and I'm just susceptible to getting eaten by mosquitoes. And so I had 4 bites all over my legs, and I turned on the bites and stings and the bug bites, and definitely within probably 15-20 minutes, they felt better.
Oh, good. Good.
So, and then I also had a testimonial I wanted to give real quick. I have a bone in my left foot that it's on the outside of the edge of your foot. I don't know what it's called. It's almost down from your ankle. But anyway, that bone has been bothering me. And so nothing seemed to be helping it, going to the chiropractor, everything. But he didn't think I had a bone fracture. But I decided to play that bone fracture frequency, and it's not completely better, but it's so much better.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't know if I have a little hairline fracture in there. That's just, you know, but it hurts here and there, not all the time, but it's much better. So,
And
thank you.
I really appreciate your testimony on that, because, you know, you took a chance. You didn't think it was that. Someone told you it probably wasn't that, but what is it going to hurt you to try? That's the whole idea. You know, you're not putting anything negative in your system. It's not a prescription, you know, it's something on your wrist. It's just like talking to somebody, but your body's absorbing a sound. So the ease. Thank you. That's a great idea right there. And then, Lynn, did you have a testimony that you'd shared earlier? Would you mind resharing that?
I'd like to do that, but I'd also like to talk about something else for bug bites. If you're
Sure.
anywhere in the Appalachian area and you see these little weeds on the side of the road with flowers that look kind of like snapdragons, they're kind of yellow and orange snapdragon looking things. They're called jewel plants, jewel weed. And if you have any kind of bug bite, sting, or even a blister on your foot, you just take a leaf from a jewel weed and you put it right on it. You don't have to chew it or lick it or anything like that. You just put it on it and it will take the sting out, or it will make the blister go down. So just old Native American Cherokee thing, and it works. And, you know, we're hiking a lot now in the North Georgia mountains, and you don't need medicine with you. Of course, I've got the WAVwatch now, but for years, all I did was just go grab a leaf from a jewel weed, which is, it's a lovely, lovely thing to know. But the testimony I wanted to give is, now that I have the 1,000 frequency watch, I have all kinds of back problems, and I've gone to the chiropractor for years and exercised and PT and, used all kinds of things for it. And nonetheless, I still hurt. So I hurt at night, and I with the WAVwatch, I'd done lower lumbar pain, backaches and whatever, and got maybe a little relief from it. But there's one new wonderful frequency called spinal frequencies under pain, nerves, spinal frequencies, almost all the way at the end. I run that little 8-minute booger all night long, and I don't hurt at night anymore. Now, once I turn it off, yeah, the pain may come back, but in the daytime, you're distracted. But at night, this is a wonderful, beautiful thing, and I want to thank you for adding that frequency in, because it's given me so much relief.
Great. Oh, I'm so glad for that.
And
You know,
that's
there's
the whole
just,
of it.
yeah,
Thank
I
you.
needed to add just a few more frequencies and that's why people need it. So thanks for the update. And then, you know, your comment on the plants, you know, when you go hiking, you don't need a lot of things. If we're just educated, if we know what plants help for what purposes. And, you know, I've heard at some point in time that God provided everything we need within 35 feet, all the things that we need to heal. If we would just be out, you know, within just a short area, we could learn. So any place in the world we should be, there should be something that would be unusual, maybe, you know, depending on the area that you were at, but a short distance away, God provided everything for healing. I just love that. I just know he takes care of us. So any other ideas that anybody wants to share? It doesn't have to be about bites and stings, but that makes it kind of fun.
Linda,
Yes.
hi, I just want to make a comment how beautiful all of your presentations are. They're so helpful. I can't tell you enough just to teach us not only about our bodies, but then how we can apply the WAVwatch to whatever's going on. And just like just now, I thought, oh, Lyme disease. I never played that one because air quote, I never had it, but I thought, my goodness, it won't hurt to play it. And then even to learn to play on the airplane when you're flying or things like that. It won't hurt you to play it. I think is the most important thing, right? And so, and then also learning about the mosquitoes. We don't have them here in San Diego per se. There might be one flying around somewhere, but we don't have them. But to learn that, and as I give these as gifts, because all my family's everywhere else, is like, oh, you better play that mosquito thing. And the fact you can turn it up and have it on the table if you're outside is a brilliant idea, right? As the repel, to turn up the repel thing. So anyway, I love all your sharing, and along with everyone else sharing their everything. It's just great. So I appreciate that. I just want you to know, because you spend so much time, and I think, my word, it's just know that it's really appreciated.
Oh, thank you. But everybody, you may not know this, but Joy is an ultimate sharer also. She has, you know, been able to share with her family. And, you know, it's so nice when, again, you can pass your energy, your frequency, your love. That's what you're doing, Joy. You're passing that love to your family, you know, so that's what I'd like
Linda,
to.
these are walking med beds. I'm a med bed fan to the nth degree and can't wait for them to come out. So I'm like, this is a walking med bed and you can move around. You can also share it. So the idea that it's not like you're passing your energy. There's other things out there that you can't share. Whereas this one is wonderful. You can let someone else borrow it and it's still okay. I just love all that. No, anyone that knows me, they know they got to watch. They're going to get better.
Thank you. Let's see, Shafia, I think you had your hand up.
I do. I just, since you're talking about Lyme disease, back in '89, I had a bite, didn't have the bullseye rash, but I just kept getting sicker and tried doing the Western blot test, which looks for antibodies. My immune system was out to lunch. It was not making any antibodies. And I just kept getting sicker. And of course, it's 1989, 90. Everybody said, oh, there's no Lyme in Kansas. And around that time, there's a very small rural town between Lawrence and Kansas City called Tonganoxie. And it was in the newspaper that a young woman had been taken to KU Med. They thought she had a brain tumor and she died. And on autopsy, she actually had a nest of spirochetes in her brain from Lyme disease. And that's what killed her. I finally got diagnosed by a rheumatologist in San Francisco. And so that put me on a long journey because, again, there's nobody really in the Kansas City area that would say, oh, yeah, this is what you do. so I was working with a naturopath in Toronto and learning more about homeopathy and other things. But the fact that the Lyme can go into a hibernation mode as soon as you use any of the standard antibiotics, and it goes into a cyst form and it hides, and then it will come back as soon as it thinks the coast is clear. So
Mm.
this is a very mercurial type of organism. And so running the Lyme programs could be really essential, just like you said so many times, just run the parasites once a week, because you never know when you picked one up. And Lyme has gotten so ubiquitous, and just running that program, even if it's just once a month, probably wouldn't hurt, because the signs and symptoms of Lyme are so general. And so it could be chronic fatigue, it could be Epstein-Barr, it could be this, it could be that. So many of these chronic illnesses now are overlap each other and hard to diagnose. And when you're trying to get at it with a pharmaceutical, it gets so complicated. And that's why I really love the WAVwatch, because you can just play all these frequencies all night long and cut to the chase. So thank you so much, Linda.
Oh, you're welcome. And, I just can't emphasize Lyme disease enough. So if you haven't really heard of it, yes. And somebody just popped up with rumors on the internet suggest Lyme disease started on Plum Island. Yeah, that's where the government had a Durham Wherefore lab, and it was closer to Lyme, Connecticut is the one I have heard. That's why it's called Lyme disease. So anyway, I addressed that in the 2 hours that I talk about Lyme disease. And again, you can get it from a mosquito bite. So that's why I mentioned it this time. I do not know if they've had any quote unquote occurrences from, spiders, but I do know mosquitoes are connected with Lyme disease now. So you get any bites, please play Lyme disease. Now, if you go to the medical community, quote unquote, if you think you have a bullseye rash, and that is real indicative of Lyme disease, and you catch it early enough, 2 weeks of antibiotics would be helpful, but if you don't discover it for 6 years, nothing is going to work along those lines. And the medical community at that point in time, it might be 2 years of antibiotics. So that's why I'm saying be preventive. And you got some mosquito bites, well, they carry Lyme disease. So also play the Lyme disease ideas if you're getting lots of bites. And it's huge. It is really huge. You may not know until it's too late. All right. Any other ideas? Kim, I guess your hand's up.
Yeah, mine is not with Lyme disease, though. Mine's off topic. I have a
No
question. I have a
problem.
daughter. I have a daughter that lives in the Dominican Republic. She's a missionary, and she's married and has she has one child, and she's just pregnant. And I keep talking to her about the WAVwatch, and she's definitely not against it, but she's my cautious daughter. But she only uses like essential oils and all that stuff. She doesn't use medicines. And I keep saying, I will send one to you. Well, no, I can't send it to her because she can't even get mail where she lives. But when someone goes down there, I think the next team goes in October, which sounds like forever. I said, you can use it even on her 2-year-old son. Like she has to travel probably at least 45 minutes to an hour if something happens and they got to see a doctor. And I said, this watch would be so good for you if you use it. So my question is, I've told her that it works with sound and that if you can listen to music, it's okay, but she's very cautious with the little ones. And I said, it's okay, but do you have something that could make her, how to explain it to her that it's okay?
Well, I'm
Besides
so
that?
glad you already mentioned that she likes essential oils, because the WAVwatch is basically the same concept. Essential oils are frequencies. They're high frequencies. So it's like she already has one tool that's using frequencies, and This is another
Okay.
tool that is harness frequencies. Maybe that idea would work.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And we hope to get one sent to her by October, but I
I'm
will
assuming
use
she
that
has
one.
electricity, you know, so.
Most of the time, but she definitely doesn't always. I mean, like, yeah,
So
our
that would be
visits
the hardest
are
part out of
interesting.
using it. Yeah.
Yeah, she has ways of charging things. They have those
Oh,
whatever those
solar
things
and
are.
stuff. Yeah. It can
Yeah,
be
so,
charged solar. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. We are just about closing down. I saw 11:11 go by. I don't know if anybody else is into numbers, but we just passed 11:11 and a lot of times I try to click the button and end at 11:11. Any other comments?
Linda, this is a crazy one. We are so into 11:11. Randy and I got married on November 11th, 2011 at 11:11 a.m. And we honor 11:11 in the morning and in the evening every single day. It is such a high frequency number. It's the master number. So I'm so glad you're into it too. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful vibration.
Oh, that is just kind of giving me vibrations and chills. So glad I said that. I wasn't going to say it. And I thought it's perfect. You know, people start looking around numbers, you know. So, oh, that is an amazing story, Lynn. Thank you for sharing.
My
All
pleasure.
right. Laura, go ahead.
I don't know how.
You're talking. We can hear you right now. So any questions or testimonies, whatever you want to say. Now I can't hear you. Just make sure you're unmuted. You were unmuted.
Okay. Are you
There you
there?
go. Yes.
Okay.
I can-
Are you gonna produce anything for pets? Like for pet care, for frequencies, like something I can put on my pets, you know, for fleas or you know, to protect them from the poisons from their food and their vaccines
Well,
they're
believe
getting
it or
and
not, everybody's already been using the WAVwatch for their pets. And again, the idea with the pets might be that you can just put the WAVwatch on a counter, you know, or a low table where the pet can hear it. And I've got tons of testimonies on anxiety in animals going away. I don't know that I have one on the fleas, but I've had one on somebody's stomach ache, you know, the animal, the dog was, you know, sick a lot, nauseated, and that helped them. So they are using it right now. I do not have one just specific for animals, but people use it all the time. And cats love it. That's the one I can't get over, is that cats love it. They'll come up and, you know, maybe they're not friendly cats to start with, but when the owner has their WAVwatch on, the cats will come up and sit around the you know, sit around the owner.
so I just have to put the sound up high for the
Yeah.
pets to hear.
So the animal can hear it.
So if I buy a watch, because mine have really bad anxiety because they're rescues. So if I bought a watch and left it there when I left them, what would I
Yes.
set it on for them?
You would set it on anxiety or calming, or if you have a new watch, you could make it loop anxiety, calming, you know, some ideas like that all day long. And it would just keep looping and looping until it ran out. And I do have somebody who has a watch that he hangs in his, he has a horse and he hangs it in the stable and just plays it loud so the horse can hear it. And it is for anxiety. And he's played it with some other things too, healing and bones. It's an older horse, right?
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. I have one more suggestion too. I forgot. You can hold your pet and be playing anxiety, and the pet will absorb the frequency from you. Same idea. Works really well. Had that happen. And then somebody just, you know, puts up on the comments, I can attest to that. We have 2 cats and one that never used to be cuddly. Now jumps up and sleeps on my stomach for a little while when I have my WAVwatch running. See, that's kind of what I was saying. Several testimonies like that. Perfect. So you
I
can
think-
hold your pet, or you can even hold, I mean, you can hold your grandchild, maybe you got a baby grandchild that's, yelling and colicky. You could set it on something for nausea or parasites. You could be wearing it and your grandchild would get some benefit from that frequency too. So frequencies move from one person to another. We share our frequencies.
And Linda, I
Okay.
think early stage, I remember one woman coming into the office and buying a WAVwatch to put on her cat's bed or under her cat's bed. Just for the cat.
Okay. Yep. And then someone has sent me a picture of their duck that they used it on for, they thought a bacterial infection. And the picture, which I've showed before, they put a little hand towel over the WAVwatch, and then the duck is just laying its head right on the WAVwatch. And evidently they were out in the chicken area, and they said the chickens kind of circled around and just stood there and listened. I mean, chickens don't do that. And that the chickens were getting something from that frequency also. It was great. The animal stories are really fun. So share, share, share.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So, getting rid of the parasites. So if I get rid of the parasites or detoxing.
Yes.
If I put that in the room, it could detox them from their vaccines that I was forced to give them. Then, correct?
That's a possibility. And the most important one is the viral detox, which is the very last one. That's the one I specifically tried to do for, vaccinations. And you could loop that one all day long if that one was, but some of those other detox ideas would be very helpful also. And then I don't know if I know a lot of you are paying attention. There's a lot in the news about nicotine. I might try to work up a whole folder on that. But, they are saying that nicotine, people who were smokers didn't have near as many problems with the COVID a couple of years ago. And so there's a lot of tracking and saying that nicotine could be something that they don't want us to know about that could be helpful. And so there is a frequency for nicotine in the detox folder. And it is trying to be helpful for smokers to detox, but it's putting out the exact nicotine frequency that people are saying that you could use for health. So that might be a brand new idea.
That's cool.
All right. I suppose I'm going to close on that, new idea there, but I need to learn a little bit more about nicotine. But I know that would be a frequency, that would be a resonant frequency, and it would work just like they are saying, some different aspects. So,
Hello.
all right. Unless anybody else comes in, I'm going to say bye-bye.
No. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Dallas.
Okay. My name is Eve, and I just wanted to let you know. This has been about the going into the third week of being sick. I think I got COVID. I got a severe headache. It was unbelievable. The worst headache I've ever had in my life.
Can you speak up or into a mic?
Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can make it. No, that doesn't do it. Okay. Hold on. Gosh, it doesn't show. It shows that my mic is on. Is it really low?
Okay, maybe just speak as loud as you can. I'm deaf. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Anyway, so my vision got real fuzzy. I had some weird things happen. I think that had to do with, I had a temperature, 101 degree temperature for like about 3 or 4 days, and it disappeared. And then as soon as all of that disappeared, the headache went down into my back, just dropped into my back. And then I had body aches all over for those 4 days. Then I had, after that quit, started to go away. I got a cold. And I'm at the very, very, very end of all of this right now. The reason I'm calling is because obviously I do have the watch, and I use so many different things in the watch. I think they did help, but nothing got rid of it completely. It was a test of using different programs. I use COVID, I use walking pneumonia. I mean, everything that I could find in there to get rid of this junk. And my brother he is been in, excuse me, the medical field for about 35 years. And he called and wanted to know how I was doing. And I said, I got this cough, it's killing me. I am spitting up green stuff and my head was clearing, I was blowing my nose. But I've tried everything, and the last thing I'm trying right now is walking pneumonia. I did that for about 4 hours, and completely 4 hours. It helped a little bit, but it didn't get rid of it. He says, you don't have walking pneumonia, you have bronchitis. Is there something there for bronchitis? I put the bronchitis on, and within 4 hours of use of that, I used it to go to sleep that night, which was on Monday night, just this Monday night. I woke up Tuesday morning and I was hardly coughing at all.
Oh,
I used it again that day, yesterday, for another 4 hours, and I haven't coughed yet today.
oh, good.
Coughing 50 to 60 times, trying to find out which bacteria I had. I mean, I went through so many of these different things, you can't believe. Until I got my brother on the phone, and he said, you don't have it in your lungs, you have it in your bronchial tubes. And he wanted me to go out and get Mucinex. He said that would help break it up, you know, so it'll come out easier. Well, after I used the watch, I didn't even need to get it. So, and I want to say that it's about $50 to get nicotine patches that are at 7 grams, which is the lowest, okay, that, you know, that Dr. Artis, you know, was talking about, right? Okay.
Right.
So anyway, oh my God, I can't wait to start using that, because I forgot to tell you, bringing that up, that I lost my smell, which I have a very, very high keen sense of smell. I have not gotten it all back, and I'm really upset about that. My taste is off. You know, you ever had Welch's grape drink? You know, that it's really sweet, and you almost have to put water in it. I can hardly taste that. So now that you just mentioned it, I'm gonna use, you know, the nicotine.
There you go. Try that.
And I guess next week or whatever, I'll let you guys know if I can get, you know, all of my smell. But I tell you, I have a bottle of lavender, and I can now, but when you open up a bottle of lavender, for me, I can smell it. I can smell it before I can open up the bottle. Now I have to stick my nose right at the bottle before I can smell any bit of lavender.
So there is a specific frequency for smell. If you haven't seen that, it's in the,
no, I haven't.
Yeah, it's in the brain. See, I think it's in seniors and brain.
Okay.
Seniors. Yes, it's under brain, seniors and brain. And there's for taste and for smell.
Okay.
And I've had several testimonies on that. And then that was really, so Lori is saying kind of the same thing. I got COVID in 2021, lost my sense of smell since then, ran the COVID library 2 weeks ago, and it's back. So she regained her sense of smells. And so the whole idea is there, you may have to play several different things because you may not know, like you didn't know that it was bronchitis.
Right.
But once you got to the right thing, it did help. you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and so
Oh,
keep
it was
playing
going-
different
it was
things.
going like that. Oh my gosh, I was coughing. I'm not kidding. 50 to 60 times a day. Both sides of my neck were sore. I was telling my brother, you know, and I said, I can't take this anymore. I gotta figure out which bacteria I have to knock it out. So anyway, that was, and I had just gotten the watch the week before.
Oh, okay. So you're just learning it, but thank you for trying different ideas and many testimonies on, you know, they tried 3 or 4 things and finally the 5th thing that they tried worked, you know, because it finally got to the right frequency that your body needed. So, well, for sure, we are kind of winding down now. Thank you and hope to see some of you back again next week or pass the word around or anybody can come on. They don't have to own a WAVwatch. They can just be learning about it. So
Oh, I could say one
thanks.
more thing. I got a friend
Okay.
to buy it. I got a friend, I told him what happened last night. And he told me to send him all the information. He's gonna get one.
All right.
So anyways, thank you for everything.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Have a nice week.